Welcome to Shelby Podcast, a production of Shelby Systems Media. And now here's your host, Don Alsop.
Today is the 70th anniversary of the day that will live in infamy. Joining us is Pearl Harbor survivor Bill Jim Davis. He will be sharing his memories and his personal eyewitness account of December 7th, 1941, and the lessons that day has taught him.
Only thing I remember going up into Depression that everybody was poor, that we had our own chickens and had our own eggs, of course, and had a pig that we killed in the winter time, and you didn't think there wasn't anybody rich back in those days in our community. Everybody was poor, so we had a good time. I mean, for the life that I led, looking back now, it didn't seem like it was a good life, but it was a real good life. It told you, left you a lot of lessons like honesty is the best policy and all the good things that you should learn in life. Well, when I graduated from high school, I had no clue about what I wanted to do if I went to college. So I thought if I just joined the Navy for one tour of duty, which was 4 years at the time, that at the end of that time I'd know what I wanted to do when I went to college. And that was in 1939, so you see I got caught in the war then. We were tied up to the dock there at Pearl Harbor, and normally on Sunday there was a boy at the dock that sold a Sunday paper, so I bought a paper and went down below decks to my living quarters, which is 4 decks down, and when I was down there for a short while, the general alarm sounded, and I said, well, that's crazy here on Sunday having the general alarms, but so the rest of the guys around me said the same thing, so we just nonchalantly walked up to our battle station, but en route there was a tremendous explosion shaking the entire ship, knocking me down. Then we started running then. When I went up to my battle station, which is just 1 deck down below the main deck, Navy guys were running back and forth, so I didn't know what was going on, and they didn't either. But I thought, well, I'd just go up to the top main deck and look and see, and when I went up the top side, I could see the smoke rising from the ship that had already been torpedoed, and then I noticed a plane, a Japanese plane float by, and he tilted his wing just a little bit going by our ship, apparently to look and see what damage he'd done, and I could see the red balls on the wing, so I knew the Japanese were attacking us. In the evening, everything was quiet, but we just expected the Japanese to return, so we were prepared for that. And since we were tied up at the dock, I couldn't think of myself, but maybe as a prisoner of war for a long time. So I was really worried. Well, I'm sure we dozed off, but I don't remember very much because we were waiting for their return. Well, the only thing that I'd say I learned was to follow orders and do follow commands that you were given. That was what you should do in time of emergencies, is do what they told you to do, not try to do what you thought you ought to do, but follow orders. I learned that elected officials are guided more by what lobbyists, or at least that's what we were doing up there. The lobbyists came around and promoted the particular company or whatever they were representing, and they had a tremendous influence. But I tried not to let that influence me because I was independent and I could depend on what I thought my constituents, which were my people out there, not the lobbyists. The Republicans and Democrats got together, and they would decide on a particular bill that was before the Senate and decide how they was all going to vote together. But I didn't have to do that, so I just voted what I thought I should do on that particular bill. When the war ended, about 4 or 5 years after that, we used to have a Pearl Harbor meeting, and they asked me to write my recollections of Pearl Harbor Day, so they could put it with the Memphis Library. So I wrote that, and after doing that, I decided that, heck, I'll just go on and write the rest of my experiences there, and so I just kept it that way. I didn't anticipate ever publishing it. I had the book signing up there, and gosh, it was a tremendous amount of folks came by, and I ran out of books, really, so I had to order some more. People that I have talked to said they've ordered it over Amazon. Well, I think most happy ingredient is good health and having a wonderful family around you to give you support and guidance. I have had that. I mean, I've had a wonderful life, and in that I always think about, when I say wonderful life, about Jimmy Stewart in that book and that movie, and that's what I've had, and I've been so blessed to have. Well, like Helen over here, she just given me a lot of support, and I've had so many blessings in my life.
Mr. Davis, I'd like to say thank you for sharing your incredible story with us today and your words of wisdom. I believe that your words are an example for all of us to follow. You and your generation literally made the world safe for democracy. And on a personal note, I'd like to say thank you for your service to our country and for your fine Christian example.
Thank you so much, Don.
You've been listening to Shelby Podcast with your host, Don Alsop. Thanks for listening, and tune in next time for another Shelby Podcast.